episode 365. I will be talking about an all-new episode of AEW Dynamite. What was Tony Khan's big announcement? Also, Jon Moxley and Evil Uno collide one-on-one in the main event. Right here, right now, 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Welcome, wrestling fans, to a new episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. I am your host, Lance Brock, and it's Wednesday night, and you know what that means. It is time to recap this week's episode of AEW Dynamite on TBS. And Dynamite was live from Phoenix, Arizona at the Footprint Center. And we start things off with a championship match for the AEW All-Atlantic Championship. Freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy taking on the Blackpool Combat Club's Wheeler Yuta. I'm a fan of both of these guys, and going into it, I expected it to be a good match. And I just want to say, this one, in my opinion anyway, over-delivered. Even it was better than I even thought it was going to be. Wheeler Yuta bringing the intensity in this one, hard-hitting, just an awesome match, I thought. They gave him quite a bit of time, too, in this one. And at one point, we see Yuta's Blackpool Combat Club teammate, Claudio Castagnoli, make his way, kind of talk to him a little bit, kind of try to toughen him up a little bit, and then the match continues, and Wheeler Yuta really bring it to Orange Cassidy. There is a few times where it looks like we're going to see a new champion in this one. Orange Cassidy hits the orange punch, Yuta kicks out, and then the beach break, and then one more orange punch, and Orange Cassidy is able to get the pinfall victory, defeating Wheeler Yuta, and still AEW All-Atlantic Champion Orange Cassidy. But a very good match here. Great way to start off this week's Dynamite, in my opinion. And backstage, and now we see Ricky Starks in the ring, and he has a contract, an open contract, for anybody to come out and sign it to face him in a match at Revolution March 5th on pay-per-view. And Chris Jericho interrupts him. He comes out, cuts a promo on Ricky Starks, and then we see Pretty Peter Avalon make his way out. Looks like he is going to accept Ricky Starks' challenge and sign that contract for the match at Revolution. But then, before he's able to get down the ramp, Chris Jericho attacks him, leaves him laying, and Chris Jericho has a spiked jacket on, and he hits Avalon with the Judas effect. And then Jericho makes his way down to the ring, talks about if he's going to sign the contract, and Starks gets in his head, and he says that he knows that Jericho knows that he cannot beat Ricky Starks without any help of the Jericho Appreciation Society. And Jericho says he would sign it to face him one-on-one. The Jericho Appreciation Society banned from ringside, but he doesn't have a pen. But then Ricky Starks says, I do, and he pulls one out, and then Jericho signs the contract. So it is official. March 5th at AEW Revolution, we will see one more time Chris Jericho versus Ricky Starks. Should be a pretty entertaining match. And next up, tag team action. The Acclaimed, along with Daddy Ass, defeat Big Bill and Lee Moriarty with Stokely Hathaway in their corner. Prince Nana, I should say. No, Stokely Hathaway, sorry. I was right the first time. I don't know why I thought I was wrong. And then next up, Tony Schiavone goes to interview Christian Cage on the stage by the entrance. And then Jungle Boy comes out, jumps him. He gets 2 chairs, is about to give Christian Cage to Concerto a taste of his own medicine. But then at this time, Jungle Boy kind of hesitates and takes his time, takes a little too long, and then Christian Cage hits him with a low blow. And he attacks Jungle Boy, slams his head repeatedly into the steel chair, busts him open, and then some help comes out from the back, pulls Christian Cage off. Jungle Boy, a bloody mess at this time. As we go to a break, and next up, Saraya in action taking on Sky Blue. This one, it was kept kind of short, but it was really more supposed to be a match to get Saraya over. But even though that was the case, Sky Blue, very impressive in this match. Worked very well in there with Saraya. I see a bright future ahead for Sky Blue. But Saraya gets the win via submission. And then Tony Storm, who was in the corner of Saraya, gets in the ring. And they get the spray paint. Gonna spray paint Sky Blue, the L on her back for loser, like they have been doing lately. But then, at this time, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and the AEW Women's Champion Jamie Hayter come out to make the save. They clear the ring. And then, as Storm and Saraya are exiting up the ramp, Ruby Soho comes out onto the stage, and she looks past Saraya and Tony Storm and looks at Jamie Hayter, and she motions that she wants the AEW Women's Championship. And to skip ahead a little bit, later on the night in Dynamite, we find out that it will be a 3-way match at Revolution for the AEW Women's Championship. Jamie Hayter versus Saraya and Ruby Soho. That should be a pretty good match right there. Right now they have Ruby Soho kind of in the middle. Not sure who she's siding with, whether the AEW homegrown talent or Saraya and Tony Storm. Next up is our Revolution Tag Team Battle Royal to see who will advance to the 4-way for the AEW World Tag Team Championships at Revolution to join the AEW World Tag Team Champions, the Guns, and the Acclaimed. This one was pretty good, I thought. And the winners of this Battle Royal are Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. There was some good spots here. Saddam Singh in their corner. And there were Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett were on the apron. Looked like they were both about to be eliminated. And Saddam Singh stops them. Gives them a little assist back into the ring. But then Jarrett and Lethal win the Battle Royal to advance to the 4-way. And the 4th team will be decided next week on Dynamite and the Casino Battle Royale. And now it is time for Tony Khan's big announcement. He is in the back. But actually, he introduces someone else to make the big announcement, and it is Adam Cole. And the big announcement is that there will be a new show debuting in March called AEW All Access, which will be airing right after Dynamite. And what it sounded like Adam Cole said is it's going to be like a behind-the-scenes show of AEW with backstage interviews, I'm guessing, things like that. I don't know if this is the same. It might be a little different, but kind of reminds me of TNA's one show they had on Spike TV at one time, Reaction. If you remember, that was a kind of like a show that aired right after Impact, where they had interviews with the wrestlers backstage, where they discussed what just happened on Impact. I don't know, this could be different, but kind of reminded me of what Adam Cole was saying, something like that. But like I said, I could be off. It might be something different. But it does sound pretty interesting. And he also announced that on that same night, on that episode of Dynamite, he will be making his in-ring return. I don't believe he said the actual date for when the new show is going to debut just yet, but I know he said in March for next month. I'm guessing it probably won't be before Revolution, since that's just March 5th, so probably either maybe middle of the week or middle of the month, I should say, or the end of the month. And now, just want to talk about this announcement for a little bit. Don't get me wrong, this sounds like it'll be a good show. Not saying that I'm not gonna watch. I definitely am gonna watch it, but it, like I said, it sounds like a good show. But I think, like I'm sure some people would say, Tony Khan has done this before, where he kind of overhyped the big announcement thing a little bit. Even though this is a good announcement, like, I'm sure it'll be a good show, good for AEW, but I think he made it sound a little too big, because I was thinking maybe it was a streaming deal of some kind for AEW, maybe coming up with their own streaming service, or maybe getting a deal to have AEW on HBO Max. Well, that's what I was hoping for anyway, but maybe that was my fault. Maybe I was hoping a little too much for the streaming thing to be the announcement, but maybe it's just me. I wouldn't say I'm disappointed, but I just wish they wouldn't have hyped it maybe quite as much. Maybe they could have started the show with that. I thought, since maybe it was also later in the show, that it might be something big, that they waited till almost the end of the show to make this announcement. Because, like, for this one, I mean, I'm not trying to say this isn't a good announcement or anything, but they just built it up a little too much, I think. Now it is time for the main event. Jon Moxley versus Evil Uno. And this week, I thought very good main event. Evil Uno looked pretty good in this one, showing more of an aggressive side, taking it to Jon Moxley. At one point, Evil Uno gets busted open, is a bloody mess. His mask getting ripped a little bit too. And Jon Moxley gets the win via a referee stoppage. And then after the match, the Dark Order come out, try to help Evil Uno, John Silver and Alex Reynolds. But then is the Blackpool Combat Club coming out. And I was thinking this earlier with the way Wheeler Yuta and Claudio Castagnoli were acting, because I didn't mention this before in the recap, but Orange Cassidy wanted a hug after the match, show some respect to Wheeler Yuta, and I don't know if it really looked like Wheeler Yuta was going to do it or not, but then Claudio Castagnoli made his way back out again and stopped Wheeler Yuta from doing it and called him over and got him to leave the ring and leave with him. And with what happened after this main event, the Blackpool Combat Club, it kind of looks like a heel turn for the Blackpool Combat Club. And while this is going on, Hangman Adam Page makes his way to the ring to make the save for the Dark Order. And I couldn't really hear it too well with all the crowd noise and everything else that was going on, but it kind of sounded like, I should say, that Hangman had some new music when he came out. Like I said, I couldn't really hear it too well with all the commotion going on and everything, but it kind of sounded like he did have some new theme music when he made his way to the ring. And that was tonight's episode of AEW Dynamite. I thought it was a good episode of AEW Dynamite tonight. I don't know if I would say it was one of the best, but it was pretty good though. Again, very good opening match for the All-Atlantic Championship. Orange Cassidy and Wheeler Yuta over-delivered, in my opinion. And I thought it was going to be a good match. And they ended up putting on a better match than I expected. And the other matches on the show, the women's match, the Tag Team Battle Royal, and then Jon Moxley, Wheeler Yuta. Very good matches, I thought. So that is all for this episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic, episode 365. Thank you for tuning in, everyone, right here on Spreaker or wherever you listen to 360 Wrestling podcasts. Hope everyone else also enjoyed AEW Dynamite tonight. Hope to have more episodes of 360 Wrestling Fanatic soon on a regular basis. You know, I'm not a good podcaster like all the other ones where I have a set day, set time, a regular schedule when I do it. So you just gotta stay tuned. But I will be back tomorrow morning for a brand new episode of Good Morning Wrestling Fans. It is a work Thursday, so it'll be the regular time slot. And I know I keep saying this, but on the 360 premium subscription on Anchor, I hope to have some episodes on there. So if you can go subscribe, please. It's only $4.99 a month. Help support 360 Wrestling Podcast. Make it bigger and better if you can. It would be very much appreciated. Like I said, hopefully we'll post some exclusive episodes on there soon. So that's all for tonight's episode. I'll talk to you tomorrow for Good Morning Wrestling Fans. Until then, I am Lance and I am a wrestling fanatic.